Just what are the best freelance jobs for beginners? Most people's minds jump straight to things like freelance writing and graphic design and those types of popular things. But really, there are tons of different easy freelance jobs for beginners out there, so don't limit yourself. The key is, the easiest freelance job for me might not be the easiest freelance job for you, so it's important to know all of your best options. So here are 10 of the best beginner-friendly options, including how to get started and average salary information pulled straight from Indeed.com. Make sure to stick to the end for my #1 tip on how to choose which type of freelancing is best for you. Let's go. So we're going to run through each one of these jobs super fast for the sake of time in this video, but if you want more detailed information on each job and how to get started, make sure to check out my full written guide, and I'll link to that in the description below. Okay, so with #1, we're just going to start with the obvious to get that out of the way, and that is content writing. The internet is jam-packed full of written content. There's words everywhere you look, and someone needs to write these words. That someone could be you. Now, content writing is kind of a catch-all term that could mean a bunch of different types of writing. The types of projects can vary, but in most cases, I'd say it's writing either articles or blog posts for different companies online. It's super beginner-friendly, and you don't need to have any type of special experience to get started. I started freelance writing with zero experience whatsoever. Obviously, you need to start somewhere and work up the chain, but as long as you can string together some coherent sentences, you don't need to be Shakespeare or anything to be successful as a freelance writer. As far as income goes, according to Indeed, the average salary for a freelance content writer is $18.34 per hour. Now, keep in mind that all of these salaries that I'm going to mention today are average base salaries, so obviously once you get more experience, you can start earning more. And this information also is a mix between freelancers and actual employees, and that can also affect the rates. A lot of times freelancers charge by project, and so the faster you do your work, the more you'll get paid. To give you an example of the potential for content writing, I've been doing it for a couple years now, and now my average hourly rate comes out to around $60 or $70 per hour. Now, obviously, that only includes writing time, and I'm not writing 8 hours a day all the time, and so it's not quite as high as you expect. And so you can't really compare it to someone who's working 8 hours a day earning a full-time income. But I would say the time I do spend writing is time well spent. To get started with content writing, I actually put together a complete free email course on how to earn your first $1,000, and so I will link that down below. Next up is similar to content writing, but with a twist. And I've mentioned it before tons of times on this channel. I love it. It is called copywriting, and basically it's written content that is meant to make the reader take an action. In most cases, this is either buying a product or signing up for something. Now, obviously, if you're a freelance copywriter for a company and the content that you write directly makes them more sales, it's a lot easier to justify charging higher prices. Indeed says the average hourly salary is $23.20 per hour, but I personally know many more experienced copywriters that are earning well into the six figures. To get started with copywriting, I recommend 3 books. The first one you can find online for free. It's called The Boron Letters. The second one is called Influence. I'll link to that one below. And the third one is called The Adweek Copywriting Handbook, and I'll link to that one as well. There's a bunch of different copywriting courses out there, and I've taken a bunch of them. But before investing a ton of money in some kind of course or training or anything like that, it's best just to get your toes wet and to see if you actually like it. If you just read those 3 books that I mentioned, you'll be way ahead of most other people out there. The third best freelancing job for beginners is for people who like the written word but don't like to write it themselves, and that is proofreading. If you're a sucker for good grammar, this could be right up your alley. Basically, clients will hire you to read through their written content and make corrections on spelling and grammar and those types of things. Now, this is a little bit different from copy editing, which has to do more with changing the flow and making sure the facts are accurate and all those things. Proofreading is a great beginner job because the only qualifications that you need basically is knowing different grammar rules. The average income is $22.02 per hour according to Indeed, and interestingly, this is higher than the average salary for content writers, but it's important to understand that With proofreading, obviously, you're going to have a lower cap, and so there's less room to grow. With content writing, there's a lot more room to grow. With proofreading, if you're already a grammar whiz, the job itself might not be that hard. The trick is figuring out how to find the best clients. And to do that, I found a free workshop that I'll link to below that teaches you all about getting a freelance proofreading business off the ground. Moving on to number 4, which similar to proofreading is another job where you don't have to write things yourself, and that is a transcriptionist. A transcriptionist basically transcribes or types out audio or video content in written form on their computer. Nowadays, video is blowing up on the internet, and a lot of video creators want transcripts of what their videos are about. Another popular transcription niche is legal transcription, and that is cool because it has a little bit higher bar to entry than some of these other jobs. And so you actually have to study the legal terminology and how the legal process works and all of those types of things. But if you're willing to learn those things, you'll have a lot less competition compared to other jobs like content writing. It's also cool because I imagine it's super entertaining to be listening to court cases and different trials and different testimonies and interviews and stuff like that all day long. The average base income is $16.63 per hour, and the faster you're able to transcribe the documents, the more you'll get paid per hour. I recently took a transcription course myself, and I realized that it's a lot more than just having speedy typing fingers. And so if you want to learn the basics of transcription and help you decide if it's right for you, I found another free workshop that I'll link to as well. Next up is a more obscure freelance job that you can do from home, and most people have never heard of it. It's called internet scoping, and it's a little bit similar to legal transcription, but not quite. Basically, during different court proceedings, there is a court reporter who sits in the courtroom live, and they use this special machine called a stenography machine to type down everything that's being said. But since she has to type it so fast, she uses different codes and shorthands on her special machine, and after it's finished, it looks all messy and unreadable. What a scopist does is takes those transcripts from the court reporter that are all in code with a bunch of spelling mistakes and everything, listens to the court reporting audio, and writes a final draft written transcript. So it's basically a mix of a legal transcriptionist with a proofreader. And since most people don't know about this job, there's way less competition. So if you're willing to learn the terminology and the software and everything that you need, it's an easy freelance job to start for a beginner. In fact, it's so obscure that Indeed doesn't even have any income information on it. But according to one of the top scoping training schools, beginners can expect to earn around $30,000 per year, and once you get more experience, you can earn upwards of $60,000 per year, which is not bad at all for a job that doesn't require an expensive university degree or anything. It does, however, require some sort of training, and as with all of the other jobs on this list, I found a mini course for you, and I'll link to it below. Guys, if you're liking all these jobs and all this information I put together for you, make sure to give this video a like so I can make more like this. Now moving on to the second half. Next up is a virtual assistant. Now, you know in the movies when you see all those important business people that have all these secretaries and personal assistants who take care of everything for them? A virtual assistant is like that, but for only virtual tasks. Because of this, they can come in many different shapes and sizes, from just a general virtual assistant that takes on any sort of time-consuming grunt work that the client doesn't want to do, to more specialized virtual assistants that have specialized skills in search engine optimization or social media management or Pinterest or paid ads or even managing a team of other virtual assistants. But there's tons of opportunities for beginners, and it really doesn't require any special skills. If you have basic computer skills, if you know how to organize an email inbox or format a Word document or research information online or send out outreach emails or make phone calls, you can start earning as a freelance virtual assistant. Since the job scope for a VA varies so much, so does the pay range. Indeed pegs it at $19.98 per hour, but I've heard stories of many different virtual assistants and clients who pay virtual assistants between $20 and $50 per hour. Now obviously the more specialized and advanced the task that you're doing, the more you'll get paid, So as a beginner, you'll probably get paid more on the lower end of this range. But once you get your foot in the door, you can start learning new skills and charging more. For people who are new to this, sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around all the different virtual assistant services that you can offer. And so I found this really awesome resource that I'll link to below with 50 or more than 50 ideas of different virtual assistant services that you can offer. Okay, so far we've covered a lot of different jobs related to writing or things that require different types of creativity, but this one is for more math nerds and analytical type of people, and that is to become a virtual bookkeeper. Bookkeepers organize and keep track of different companies' finances, or the books, and this can be done completely virtually. Now, large companies probably have their own in-house bookkeeper, but smaller companies or solopreneurs who don't have time to do all the bookkeeping themselves outsource it to a freelancer. Average hourly income is $18.86 per hour, and the more I researched for this video, the more I realized that it really pays to be creative or be a creator. Freelance bookkeeping is an awesome opportunity for the types of people who geek out with spreadsheets and numbers and those types of things. But the reality is all of the information is already there. You're just organizing it. And if you're just organizing information, you normally get paid less than if you're creating brand new information. To get started, you need to choose which bookkeeping software you're going to master first, buy the software or get a free trial, tinker around with it, and once you feel comfortable with it, start looking for clients. If you want even more hand-holding on how to set up a virtual bookkeeping business, there's another free workshop below. Guys, we're chugging right along. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We're constantly putting out new content on how to live a location-independent life, including setting up your business. So if you're into that kind of stuff, welcome to Project Untethered. Moving on to the next one. So far, some of the jobs that we've covered do require a little bit of training. Most of it, if you dedicated yourself to it, you could probably master whatever skill you needed to do within a month or less. But this next one is something that most people, at least most people watching this, will be able to do with very little training, and that is to become an English teacher, or even easier, an English tutor for people who are learning English as a second language. Most of the best freelance English teaching opportunities do require a TEFL certification, but those really aren't that hard to get, and some jobs don't require them at all. For example, there are different websites and applications like Palfish and Cambly, for example, where you can just basically log in and start having casual chats with people in English so that they can practice. Obviously, getting paid to chat in English isn't quite as valuable as actually teaching English and giving English lessons. But if you're looking for something super easy to start with, basically no qualifications or experience or anything necessary, this is a good place. Once you do it for a while, you can decide if you like this career path or not, and then later on, you can decide if you'd like to take a more comprehensive TEFL course or something like that. There are a bunch of different English teaching platforms out there, some that require TEFL, some that don't, and most of them pay between $10 and $23 per hour. You can also earn different bonuses for reaching different types of milestones. And once you start building some experience, you could even find students off of these platforms and charge even more. Next up is a freelancing job you might not think of for beginners, but hear me out. That is graphic design. Now, a lot of graphic designers study for years in university and have different degrees and everything, but you don't need that to start getting paid as a freelancer. There are plenty of businesses out there who just need help making basic graphics that you can do using a free and easy to learn tool online called Canva. You may have heard of it. And if you haven't heard of it, it's something that you can literally log in right now and tinker around with for an hour or two, and you'll be a master at it. Two big different opportunities on Canva are making pins for Pinterest, because different businesses who use Pinterest constantly need different pins or different graphics that they can post on Pinterest, and that takes up a lot of time, and so they're normally willing to pay a freelancer to do it for them. Another one is making infographics on Pinterest, and there's even a lot of templates on there that you can work off directly. And basically that is taking big chunks of information and summing them up on a nice long image like this, where people can read and see a summary of the information super fast. Both of these are really popular with businesses. Both of them take time to make, and businesses don't have time to make them, and so it's a great opportunity. The base income for graphic designers is $29.76, but this figure is probably more for more experienced graphic designers who actually have more training than learning Canva for 1 hour on your computer. The good news is you can get your foot in the door doing these types of Canva jobs and gradually earn more skills and more graphic design programs where you can start charging more. Unfortunately, I do not have a free fancy graphic design workshop for you, but if you do want to learn different graphic designing skills more than just Canva, you can sign up for a free membership of Skillshare. And if you use my link in the description, you get a free month. And during that month, you can take unlimited courses and then just cancel before your month is over. And there you go. You just learned a bunch of graphic design skills for free. Moving on to a more technical freelance job for beginners, and that is to be a basic website developer. Now, the key word here is basic website developer. Learning to code or becoming an expert programmer is not for beginners. It takes a very long time, but you don't have to be an expert to start earning. There are tons of different businesses out there who still don't have an online presence, and all they want is just a basic website. They don't need any bells and whistles or custom design or anything like that. They just want the basics. They want to exist online. And to learn how to make these types of basic websites on WordPress or Wix or Squarespace, you could probably learn within a day. Now, since most income information about web development is for more experienced developers, not just people who learned how to do it in a day, it's kind of hard to find accurate numbers. To do so, I popped over to Fiverr and looked at some of the top sellers and what they were charging to make a super basic website. What I found is guys like this guy who charges $395 to put together a basic WordPress website, and I'm sure he could probably do this in just a couple of hours. So if you were able to charge something like this, you just have to decide how many websites you would do per week and per month. Now, it's important to remember that the best freelance job for beginners isn't always the easiest job for freelance beginners. This may sound super obvious, but it's often forgotten, and that is that the easiest freelance business for you is the business that you already know how to do. Everyone has different unique skills and interests and backgrounds, and the best job for me might not be the best job for you. For example, I really love writing, and so content writing and copywriting is my thing, but that might not be your thing. So just because everyone else seems to be doing it doesn't mean that you need to be doing it as well. On the other hand, you might love art and drawing things and design, so then you might go after graphic design, whereas I suck at graphic design. And as you can see from my website, I make everything with stick figures. And so if you're really looking for a freelance job that's easy, choose something that aligns with your strengths and interests. You might hear people online saying that copywriters make 6 figures and it's super easy and you just sit on your couch and write a couple things per day. But if you don't like writing, why would you do that? If you're going to be doing a job for several hours a day, every single day, you better choose something that you actually like. If not, you're not going to be a happy camper. Guys, I have 5 more awesome beginner-friendly freelance job ideas in my written guide, and this video is getting kind of long, so I'll link to that below. Check it out if you want even more ideas. And if you're specifically interested in earning your first $1,000 as a freelance writer, make sure to check out that free course that I made for you that I mentioned earlier. I'm happy to answer any questions you have in the comments below, so don't be shy, give me a like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.